Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the special City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'll ask our City Clerk to call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz is absent. All others are present.
Would you all please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and then afterwards remain standing for a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We called a special meeting to consider 6 administrative reports and 1 closed session. Item 1 is for the award of bid number 022-25, Wells Park Pickleball Project, and staff will tell us all about this. Hi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I'm Cajon of the Engineering Services Department. Item 1 before you today is to consider award of the Wells Park Pickleball Project. This is an ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act funded project, and another exciting recreational feature coming to Wells Park. So the project will construct a brand new pickleball complex featuring 5 courts at the northwest corner of the park. Site furnishings include several benches, tables, a drinking fountain, and 3 shade structures on the left-hand side there of the courts. There's also an LED there's LED court lighting, security cameras, and a changeable marquee sign. Sound walls are planned along the west and north sides of the complex. And then finally, we'll renovate roughly 700 square feet of the existing Wells Center to become the Pro Shop or Welcome Center. So here's just a general rendering. This was about mid-design. One key item to note here on the left is a sound wall that's been converted at the same height, converted to a chain link style fence with thick screen sound attenuating devices. This was one of our kind of value engineering to try to bring the cost down of this project. It's also more pleasant to look at, so that's wind screen or sound screen instead of a large block wall. And then you see a lot of plantings as part of the project, and then the Wells Center is to the south. That's the kind of the white block at the bottom. That's the building. And then with this project, we also prepared a noise analysis or acoustic report just to make sure we're being a friendly neighbor to the properties to the west and to the north. Okay, and I have staff's recommendation, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Thanks very much. Let me see if there's any questions. Michelle?
Just out of curiosity, has any promotion or anything been given out? I don't know if this is your purview, but has any promotion been given out to any of the local pickleball clubs or anything so that we can make sure that this is going to be utilized and they know about it? Because, you know, formerly Wells Park hasn't always had the best reputation, and so I want to make sure that we're spending the money and putting this in. I'm all for it, of course, and my neighbor is excited about it, but I want to make sure that we're spending the money and we're putting this in and that these clubs know that it's there and available and excited.
I do know of a stakeholder meeting or a public outreach meeting that was held at the park. It was well attended by the Parks and Recreation Department. I would hope some of those attended, but we can definitely push some notices out to the pickleball groups.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Steve, did you have anything?
What are the operating hours of the pickleball courts?
So they match the park hours, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Gary?
What is the sound wall constructed of?
The latest design is, imagine a chain link fence. It's 12 feet high, and attached to that chain link fence are thick half-inch to an inch screens.
Screens.
So imagine like a solid barrier. Just it's a sound screen. So this is just it's. I'm not sure what I can kind of relate it to, but I can get you some pictures, absolutely, to show you what that's going to look like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Would it look kind of like those blinds back there?
Yeah, a little bit, just a lot heftier. Very thick that any sound leaving the courts can bounce off of that and come back.
And how thick is that again?
Half inch to an inch.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Nice presentation.
Cool. Thank you.
Are there any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay. Just bring it back to council for discussion and or a motion.
These are ARPA funds? Great. I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Item 2 is for the award of RFP number 023-25, fleet vehicles. Staff will tell us all about this. Hi, David.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. How are you?
I see you, David.
So on September 10th of this year, the City Council authorized the reappropriation or authorized the acquisition of vehicles in the amount of $3 million using ARPA funds. So today I'm here to present, I guess, the RFP that prevailed. This item is to award a purchase order to PFVT Motors, LLC DBA Peoria, or doing business as Peoria Ford, in the amount of $2.6 million, provided they meet all the bid requirements. If not, it will be awarded to a backup contractor, UAG Cerritos, in the amount of $1.6 million. And this staff report also requests authorization of the city manager to approve any modifications up to $100,000, and then approve any modifications to the previously approved fiscal year 24-25 vehicle purchase authorizations. That gave us the flexibility to pull Fords from all of our lists and go out to bid with just Fords. And with that concludes my brief presentation.
Thanks. Any questions for David? Michelle?
Sorry. Nice presentation, real brief. Just question, why do we not go to a local Ford dealership on this, or do we have to? I forgot to ask this.
We did. I mean, we went. It's bid. It's a bid
Right.
project, so everyone gets an opportunity to bid.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a local bidder, you actually there's a bonus for you.
Right.
The problem with this, and the reason we had so few bidders, it's a massive order of vehicles, and not
Sure.
everyone has the ability to do that. So our local Ford was not able to accommodate the bid requests.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I think the public's going to ask, if the first place bid is $2.6 million, what was wrong with the second place bid of $1.6 million?
The original bid was for 10 vehicle types, and so I believe Cerritos only bid for 7 out of the 10, meaning that quote's providing 27 vehicles versus the other quote's providing 48. Yes, 48 versus 27 vehicles.
Okay, that answers the question for the public.
Gary, anything for you?
No, I'm good.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it very much. Angela, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
I bring it back to the council.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote of those present.
Item 3 is for a contract amendment for bid number 012-25, citywide street beautification. Staff will tell us all about this.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I realized today that the individual giving the presentation has never presented before the city council, so I thought I'd introduce her. This is Olga Reyes. Olga's been with us for about a year now. She is our city traffic engineer, and she replaced Mario Sanchez when Mario was promoted to deputy engineering services director. So anyways, with that, Ms. Reyes.
Hi, Olga. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Yes, as Graham said, this is my first time. It's not my first time at the meetings, but it is my first time before you guys. So I am here to speak on the citywide street beautification project, which is also funded by ARPA. The request is to amend bid quantities and increase the compensation to our current contractor, Eco Paving, for an amount not to exceed $1.2 million. The reason for this amount is an increase in scope, looking to appropriate additional additional ARPA funds and Transnet funds. So basically, this project runs from northern city limits to southern city limits along 2nd Street, Hamashaw Road. There was a portion that we thought, or that I thought, that I could do spot repairs, but it was in need of overlay rather than spot repairs. So that the majority of this $0.2 million would be used for that.
Is that it?
And that is it. Yes.
Okay, thanks very much. First off, let the record reflect that Mr. Ortiz has now joined the meeting. Are there any questions? No? Nice report. You did great your first
You
time.
guys made it easy on me.
No questions? Maybe-
Welcome aboard, Olga.
Thank you.
It's a good omen. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Then I leave it to discussion of the council.
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation on item number 3.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 4 is for a contract amendment for RFP number 028-24, Oakdale Alameda Construction Management Services. I'll let staff tell us about this. Hi, Mario.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. I'm Mario Sanchez, city engineer. This item is a request to amend the construction management contract in the amount of $113,916.38 with a company named Unico Engineering. They're a construction management company. They're the actual manager for the Oakdale Alameda Street Beautification Project, which is currently under construction. The project is approximately 65% complete, but there have been several design changes along during construction, which has extended the completion date to March 2025 from the original date of December of this year. The project is funded with ARPA, Clean California Grant, and Transnet funds, and I'm available to answer any question. This concludes my item.
Questions? Michelle?
Just real quick, remind me, this is the part of Oakdale, from Oakdale to that little cul-de-sac on the end by
there's Oakdale.
IHOP?
Yeah, the Oakdale.
And what were the reasons for the modifications, design modifications?
This was we applied for a Clean California grant in late 2022, and we received $5 million of grant funds to beautify all of Oakdale between the cul-de-sac to the alleyway just easterly of 2nd Street. The alleyway was recently completed as well. We redid that whole alley, and then Walter Way is under construction. That's being repaved. We added sidewalks, street lights, and landscaping to the entire project, just in order to, beautify the street, traffic calm the street, and increase lighting as well.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Maura. Just one quick question. What happened that we extended it from, I think, December to March?
Yeah, we made some specific design changes on Walter Way. We actually reinstated some parking that we eliminated just to accommodate the businesses that use that area.
And any complaints from the public over that?
No, we just received one complaint on Oakdale, just due to lack of parking during right now, which is construction activities, and parking is really limited right now because both the north and south side of Oakdale Avenue is torn up. And as soon as they get that sidewalk and curb and gutter back in, we'll be able to allow parking back on the street.
Are we keeping that resident informed of the progress
Yes.
along the way?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks very much, Mario.
You're welcome.
Any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
It's back to council.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve staff recommendation on item 4.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 5 is for an award of bid number 018-25, ADA Concrete Improvements 2025. And I'll have staff tell us about this.
Good afternoon, City Council and Mr. Mayor. At our last council meeting, this item was actually on the consent calendar and was pulled because of a bid protest. This is a standard ADA contract. As we did the bidding and did the analysis of the bidding, we found that the lowest bidder was not responsive because it was missing a signature on a page as part of the application. As part of the agenda item, the lowest bidder protested, which allowed staff to analyze that. We've done a thorough analysis of our municipal code, case law, our ordinances, and based on our review, staff has actually reversed its initial determination and found that the lowest bidder is responsible. And so we would recommend that the City Council approve the specifications of this program, approve the bid with RAC not to exceed $719,260, and then also find that his omission of the signature on the bid bond was a minor irregularity. So with that, staff's here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Graham. Any questions for Graham? Steve?
Has the principal signed the document since?
No, they haven't, although they did offer, once informed of this before last meeting, to come in and sign it, but we told them that wasn't necessary at that time. So,
Okay.
but we believe that the surety is still responsible regardless of or with the even with the absence of the principal signature.
My concern is we've had some troubles with contractors on some city projects, and I want to make sure that we're getting somebody who really is going to follow the rules from this point forward.
This is just the bid bond, but hopefully everything will get in order with this bidder or be proper and orderly with this bidder in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
There are no cards, sir.
All right, back to council.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation conditional upon the principal signing the document as required.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
The last administrative report, item 6, is for the reallocation of residual ARPA funds, and staff will tell us about this. Hi, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Great, thanks.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Ryan Villegas. I'm a Senior Management Analyst in the City Manager's Office, and today I'll be providing a report on the reallocation of residual ARPA funds. So I'm actually going to begin with the recommendation. It's going to serve as sort of a guide of how this presentation is going to go, and I'll circle back to it at the end. So the recommendation is to reallocate residual American Rescue Plan Act funds in the amount of $67,853 from ARP 21, which is the business facade grant, to ARP 17, which is the street camera system. This reallocation of ARPA funds would reduce the general fund's cost to the purchase of 40 additional flock cameras, which is part of ARP 17, which that contract is for $164,750. So I'm going to provide a summary on the completion of the business grant program first. So as a background, earlier this year in May, the City Council appropriated $1 million in ARPA funds for the Business Facade Grant Program. This program was aimed at improving business exteriors through signage for a grant maximum of $20,000. There was paint for $15,000, and then window repairs was also an option for $1,000 too as well. And the outcome here, there were 60 individual businesses that received grants, but there's actually a total of 75 facade grants issued. Businesses were allowed to apply for a sign and a paint grant, or multiple if they needed. And so that's why there's more grants issued than businesses that received. And these next few slides will show the distribution of the grants across the city. So we're starting with the window grants. So you can see the three businesses that right there with the yellow dots. And then next we'll overlay the paint. So the green triangles around the city. And then we'll add the sign grants. So you can see the distribution across the city right there. And then I also have a few before and afters too as well. So another goal for this program was to bring businesses that may not have had signs that were in compliance with the city's municipal code into compliance. And so while the one on the left, the before, is a nice artwork, but it's actually not in compliance with the city's sign codes. And so this grant permitted businesses to be able to come into compliance using the grant. So there's one. There's another. And then this business right here actually applied for both a sign and a paint grant, so they were able to repaint the exterior of their building, which would complement their new sign too as well. And then this one is a window grant actually. This business, that's kind of hard to see, but the second window from the left had a hole in it, and so they used the sign grant and were able to replace it, and that's on the right. Okay, so going back to the outcomes, so again, 60 individual businesses received grants, 75 total facade grants were issued. You can see the breakdown right there. And from the $1 million budget that the City Council approved, total reimbursements were $932,147, which leaves a remaining unused budget of $67,853, and that amount right there is the purpose of this report today. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to provide a background on ARP 17, the street camera system, and then we'll revisit that number. All right, so background here. Last March 2023, the City Council approved an automated license plate reader program funded through ARPA. The city contracted with Flock Safety as the camera provider for the program. July of last year, the cameras were installed around the city, and then the following month in August, the program launched. And in the first year of this program, 128 stolen vehicles were recovered, which totaled $1.2 million. 151 arrests were related to the stolen vehicles, and then the city actually received an award last year for this program. The city of El Cajon was recognized by the San Diego Taxpayers Association with the Golden Watchdog Award, and this award recognizes public agencies that demonstrate an effective and efficient use of taxpayer dollars. And so that's the award right there, but it's kind of hard to see because it's actually clear, so it's right here.
Very nice.
And then and bringing it back to ARPA, so the obligation deadline for all funds received by ARPA from the federal government is December 31st, 2024, so that's a month and a half away. Any uncommitted funds have to be returned back to the U.S. Treasury after this date. And the El Cajon Police Department is already in the process of purchasing these 40 additional cameras, and they're currently planning to use the general fund for that contract. And so if the $67,000 from ARP 21 were applied to the purchase of those cameras, it would alleviate the general fund of that amount of money, and then two, it would obligate the funds immediately, and so the city wouldn't be at risk of having to return them back to the federal government. And with that, there's a recommendation that the City Council reallocates residual American Rescue Plan Act funds totaling $67,853 from ARP 21 to ARP 17 for the purchase of additional flock cameras. And staff is happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Any questions? Michelle?
Okay, today's my day for questions. Nice presentation. Thank you very much. So with the purchase of the new flock cameras, that brings us up to a total of how many in the city now?
I don't know the total amount that are currently throughout the city.
It's about double. We have about 40 now, so it would double the number of cameras that
About
we
80
have.
now. Awesome. So criminals, beware, because we're going to catch you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve?
So there's an ongoing license fee associated with 40 more cameras. Can you tell us more about that?
Certainly. So there's a license fee. It's $3,000 per camera, so per month. So it ends up being about $147,000 per year that would be absorbed by the existing budget in the police department.
So when 3 years ago, when we said we're going to overhire temporarily 10 officers and we're going to fund that from reserves, that's a different project and a different bucket of money than this 147, which you're saying is already included or accounted for or considered in their budget today.
Correct. That's a separate item, separate budgeted item completely.
Okay. And can you tell us more about how more cameras does more things?
Certainly. Right now, the 40 cameras that we have are placed in high-profile intersections, which are helpful, but when we have a crime, we don't have coverage of the entire city. And so, as you know, we've been able to solve 2 homicides with the existing cameras that are in place. But had they taken a different path out of the city, we would not have found them. So this would just expand our coverage, more potential hits for stolen vehicles, other high felonies, severe felonies that are associated with that car are put in this database, so we'd also have access to finding them as well.
And the 167 or so that's being asked for today, 67 of that will come from ARPA funds and the balance from their existing budget?
So the approved budget already includes an expenditure of $167,000. So the council's already approved that budget item.
Okay.
This would take $67,000 of ARPA money and backfill general fund, so it would protect the general fund.
Got it. Okay. I've got comments later, but that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have no speakers.
Let's move on to comments then. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To my colleagues, I have 2 requests for ARPA funds before you, one from Amicus and one from St. Paul Seniors. And the St. Paul Seniors, they didn't get a grant a couple of years ago. I don't know if they didn't know aware of it or whatever, but I believe they weren't part of it. So they're saying, hey, we'd love to get on this if you're talking about leftover funds. So they've submitted 2 requests, one for about $10,000 for window shades and $4,400 for lunchroom furniture. Their PACE Center here in El Cajon has 1,300 visits every month. It serves 320 lower income adults. And this would block the sunlight from the tall windows they have up above the normal roof line and regulate the temperature. So my thought would be to grant them the window shades, but not the staff room furniture. The second request is from Amicus, and you can see they're ready to build more cabins out at Meridian, and they'd like to build 4 more cabins out there and would love some tools for that. And so highlighted are 2 items that I think I could seems that would be great to participate. So $4,500 there for a planer shaper for their wood studs and the blades that kind of do that. To do that, however, that would take about $15,000 away from the $67,000. But the city manager said, well, we also would need to do a couple other steps. Can you describe that for the council?
Well, let's talk about Amicus first. I'm concerned about a grant to Amicus to expand their existing footprint because they're not allowed to expand their existing footprint right now. That's going to be coming before the council sometime soon. I would worry that the council be presupposing a decision already if you're granting money to a nonprofit to expand, yet they don't have permission. That's just something to be aware of. I'd be careful of that. However, so back to the original question. The council doesn't have the ability, nor the city, just to grant money to whoever they would like to. So that it has to be associated with an existing project or an approved project by the city council. If the council were interested in granting money to a nonprofit or other businesses, I would recommend you actually open up an existing account. You already have an existing project, which is the initial grant, the business grant that we had operated before the facade grant that Mr. Villegas just talked about. We had a grant available for equipment, capital improvements, capital purchases. It seems like the St. Paul PACE program would fit that bill perfectly. So I would recommend, if the council wanted to take this route, that they would open that grant back up. You would have to allocate money to it. You would have to provide a reasonable period, although we're running out of time, so I would probably say reasonable would be 2 weeks, and say, hey, whoever is interested in applying for this grant, here's the grant application, submit your proposal, and then it would be granted on a first-come, first-serve if they're eligible. Because we think there could be a significant run on the money, we would recommend that if this is the direction the council wanted to go, you'd probably want to set aside a nominal amount of money, probably not more than $30,000. You probably want to limit it to just nonprofits, and probably limit it to businesses or nonprofits that did not take advantage of the first grant application. And so that would get money into the hands of those eligible businesses that weren't able to take advantage of their first place. The challenge with putting, let's say, $30,000 into that account, if you don't get $30,000 of requests, that could potentially be money that we'd be turning back to the federal government. But out of $30 million, if we're returning a couple thousand, probably from a percentage-wise, not the end of the world.
Could you set a condition that if not all the grant money is claimed, that it rolls back into the flock camera program, for instance?
I'm going to look at finance and city manager's office if that's a condition that we can put into the verbiage.
I think you could.
Okay.
If that decision is made here today, yes.
And if we were able to, if we could,
and the time frame of the 2 weeks or whatever that is for the applicants for the business grant passes, and that they don't, and only $25,000 is received worth of reimbursement or whatever, then that extra $5,000 would go over to the flock cameras.
And you have one more council meeting in December, so
yes.
Theoretically, if we set the deadline so we would know by that date how much money was left over, then you could just reallocate that remaining residual money back to flock at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the requirements to notify whoever we need to notify if this is opened up?
We would probably just send out through, I don't know how, nonprofits are required to have business licenses. So we would probably just send out a notice to all nonprofits with a business license in the city of El Cajon of this opportunity.
And if there are more requests than there are money, how do you?
I would recommend first come, first serve. The faster they get it in, once the money's gone, the money's gone. And then we would, let's say, we'll just use St. Paul PACE. Let's say they say we can do it, and then we realize, they're not eligible for whatever reason. We would have someone in line right behind them if there was money available.
Okay. My thought is, council, is $15,000. St. Paul's is asking for 10. I don't want to take too much money away from the flock camera because it is a force multiplier, for sure. But they've already budgeted to purchase these anyway, regardless of our action today. It's how much do we reduce the general fund by these leftover ARPA funds. So my ask to the council would be to do as Mr. Mitchell recommends, to set aside $15,000 as that, with the provision that it's first come, first serve.
Well, before we get too far, that's not on the agenda today. What you could do is approve $15,000 less than what's requested. And then Mr. Mitchell will have to bring back to you or put together a program, but we don't have it on the agenda right now to create a new program or reappropriate money to a different account. So I'm a little concerned about the discussion going too deep into the specifics about what that $15,000 will be used for.
Okay. I wish this would have been told to me before today.
I wish it would have been too.
Well, we're not going to decide who didn't bring it up, but it should have been brought up before today across
Well, Council, I assumed this is an agenda item. We're talking about residual money. That's on me. I did not brief the city attorney about this. One of the options, and I don't even know where the rest of the council is. So let's say the council wants to go this route. I think we can call a special meeting and come back with the council with some parameters, and you guys can make a formal recommendation at that time. But so I'll take that one. But I did receive these literally as the meeting began, so I hadn't have a chance to look at these yet either.
Graham, would there be time to just punt this to the next meeting, the next officially scheduled meeting?
No, because that next meeting is mid-December, and that would not give us enough time to go out to the public or the nonprofit community and get their buy-in.
When would you suggest then that we do the special meeting?
Probably next week or later this week.
That's fine with me.
I have a quick concern. The proposal is we're designating $15,000, but we have to open it up to everybody. Mm-hmm. My concern is that there's nonprofits could jump in and take X amount of money before certain groups who have asked for that money. And so I don't want there to be a bait and switch situation and circumstances where we're opening up and it's only for this amount, and then there's the perception of, improprieties with favoritism and things like that. And I don't want to tread on that space either.
That's a good point. And my question is, when we had the business grant, did we fully utilize the business grant? Was it oversubscribed and people were left waiting? That would be to your point. Mm-hmm. If everybody had a shot and we still had money left over, that would be well, everybody had their shot. Was the business grant oversubscribed?
No, we had residual money left over.
That change your thought? That everybody had their shot to put in a grant earlier?
No, the concern still exists in potential relationships being hurt. Because we do have to open it up to everybody, and it's first come, first serve. And the proposed amount is more or less tailored to specific people, and so that would be my ultimate concern. Is I don't want to tread down that, and as much as these organizations that have been that have contacted us, every organization's deserving of it. I would be hesitant as opposed to something cleaner.
Can I ask Graham something?
Please.
If we go through this process and we come back in a week for special council meeting, and there's only the one organization that wants the money, it's easy, right? But if there's 6, would we have the option at that point to say, there's more interest in this than what's possible to go around? We don't want to play favorites. We're going to put it back in the flock camera system at this point? Would you still have that option?
Let me solve this. I'm going to withdraw this item for a couple of reasons. One is, you say, if you have these people say, and Mr. Foley will be thrilled that I'm getting down there, but you got to let me get there. The timing is tough. We'd have to notify everybody, and that's going to take longer than a week. You'd have to give them a couple of weeks to get back. And then if you come back and say, actually, there's 8 people that want the grant, and then you turn around and say, sorry, we don't have enough funds, then they're like, well, why did you contact me in the first place anyway?
And they went through the process of
getting their hopes up.
Filling out an application.
Yeah, so as much as I would love to help 320 low-income older adults and 1,300 visits in every month, I think the timing of this is the problem more than the substance of this. I support the money going to, here we go, Mr. Foley, I'm zeroing back in on this. I support the 67,853 going to the flock camera system.
Mr. Goebel, if I may, and we can take this offline for further discussion, you and I. I know the owner of Best RV, who does RV screens and, the shades that come off the side of an RV, who might be able to accommodate for the shades on the windows. I also know I have very good, strong contacts for the furniture for the lunchroom. So let's you and I take this offline and talk, and I might be able to get you in on those so that they can take it as a tax write-off, and we'll do it that way on the outside without having city input. And let's you and I work on that together.
Sounds good. So for the reasons stated with the amicus that, hey, it's not given yet that their 4 extra cabins are approved, and the timing of this, I'll withdraw those 2 requests by those organizations, and I will at least make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I will say this, though. I'm glad they're having the discussion. It shows the care for the community and shows the care for the process. So sometimes it's a little messy, but I think it was worth it.
It's not as messy as other agencies that I've seen.
Oh, believe me. Yeah.
One more quick comment. I just want to commend Ryan and the city manager's office. I think our total amount of ARPA funding received was $30 million. I'm getting a yes from Ryan. And $67,000 from $30 million is tremendously outstanding work. It's such a small amount that's left over, and under extremely strenuous reporting circumstances. I know Ryan's happy this is over, and he can move on to more projects in the city. So outstanding work. Really, I think that it should be commended publicly.
Even though our purchasing ends on December 31st, for Ryan, it's not over because the reporting will continue to go for the next couple of years.
2 more years. Sorry to get your hopes up. I'll second Mr. Goebel's motion.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Did I ask if we had any speaker cards inside? I don't remember if I asked.
We have no cards, sir.
Okay. All right, then. The last item on today's special meeting is a closed session, and our city attorney will recite the title and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will meet in closed session on one item. It's a conference with the real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The property is located at 425 West Main Street here in El Cajon. The negotiating parties are Hala, Inc., Hitesh C. Patel as the CEO. City's negotiators are the city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney, and under negotiation would be price and terms of payment for acquisition of the property.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to closed session. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to closed session and be back in a few minutes to conclude the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from closed session. I will ask our city attorney to report on closed session.
Described previously, the City Council gave instructions to its negotiators.
This brings us to adjournment. The joint special meeting of the El Cajon City Council and El Cajon Housing Authority held this 19th day of November 2024 is adjourned.